next step after the lead magnet would be to try to get people on the phone. That's where relationship is being built. And that's where you learn so much about their concerns, about what they want, and can react individually. It might be that the effort to acquire a bigger company, like with 10,000 employees, might be more expensive, more effort, but suddenly you have maybe 50 times, 100 times more revenue because of the employees. It's better to have something than nothing, and then you can just optimize it. I am a friend of pay-per-click advertisement for startups because it's fast. You have all the control and you can target precisely. Today we have a guest that I will consult in marketing, Thomas Suwelack. He started a business, 21done.de, 4 years ago. Could you please tell me a little bit about your business and how it has been developed? What is the status now?
Yeah, I'm the founder of 21done, which is a coaching app for employees. We develop the 21 most important skills in times of new work. That's why our brand name comes in, 21done. And we do this through habit building so that we have lasting learning and not learning and forgetting, as you see on so many other learning solution or learning platforms. You go through a lot of content, high quality produced, good looking, maybe prominence are there. But in the end, if you don't repeat, if you don't stay on it, you forget. So this is what we want to make different. We develop habits. There's some principles that we studied and have implemented in our app. So in the end, we are a coaching app for employees, soon also, by the way, for private users, that develops most important skills in today's times, like resilience, communication skills, creative thinking. We do this through habit building.
Yeah, that sounds really amazing. I've tested your app and it's pretty cool. It's a current issue, I think, that people need to develop their skills, but they don't know where to start oftentimes. And you have such an overload of information, and you read or listen to audiobooks and read to books, but you don't feel like you are progressing, like you're learning so much, because it's just going in and going out, kind of. I've read so many books, and I know how it is. And now I'm also focusing more on working on learning instead of just reading a book quickly. I try to work on that, to do some the exercises to implement this in real life. Otherwise, it's gone.
It's gone. Apply and repeat. Most important. Yes.
How was your journey so far with development and with marketing?
Product development, you mean?
Yeah, I mean with the app. So you started it 4 years ago. You have been focusing on employees, not the individuals. Mm-hmm. And how has it been developing?
So actually we started with B2C business, but for testing reasons, to test B2B. Because for B2B, you need a very perfect solution. There cannot be any bugs in there. So to get early and a high number of feedback, we actually launched it for private user first, but having B2B in mind. That was 2.5 years ago. Before this, we had a different kind of product. We had a marketplace for services that support your personal growth, let's say. However, with first revenues, then we discussed how do we actually support personal growth. So we discussed with the coaches that we mediated on that marketplace. And then there was one sentence that was mentioned from one of our coaches: you become what you repeat. So a very important sentence for personal growth. It means exactly the same as, you need to have good habits to develop nicely. Habits like a jogging routine, for example, or reading routine, healthy food. All these positive habits help you in the end to be more positive. I think that is what people strive for and what we support through different topics and practices that you turn into habits. There has been a journey for 2.5 years to build this product. For me as a non-techie, not the easiest journey, but of course I had a CTO who was capable of building it. But in India, I am in Hamburg in Germany. So this distance doesn't make it much easier. But we went through a lot of learning for sure. Now it's getting easier, I would say. The app is built still. We need to do innovations and optimizations, but the team is still there. The team from the very first hour is still there. So that makes it easier. And a product that is already in the market and has been purchased by customers who are satisfied. Of course, this business is now easier to manage. There is still a challenge. We are since 1 year in the market. Since then, we won some clients, also one big client, OB. So it's a big brand. At the same time, it's not the best time right now, because this is, for some companies, a nice to have product. People development, for some, is the most important, and we have to start today, because otherwise my people will leave. And also they will not be prepared for the future. So people who see this don't say it's interesting, but please come back in half a year. But there are other people who say, at this moment, I'm quite stressed. The dynamics of the world and my job. At this moment, it's not possible for me to take care also of this app implementation. So please come back. Yeah, we are building up the sales machine in a B2B world. I think we can be quite successful and scale this business also on an international level. But then we also find some optimizations on the sales side. Maybe, you have some suggestions we will discuss.
How did you acquire this OB client? It's a big company, if it's not a secret.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was through personal network. So I'm saying unfortunately, because this is not scalable. My personal network has limits. So it was on Carnival when I met a friend who worked at OB, not in HR, but he forwarded my sales presentation. And then we got into a discussion and it worked well. But yeah, I need scalable marketing and sales tactics, SEO, SEA, these instruments that we launched, but that are not yet super effective.
Yeah, this kind of clients, those kind of target audiences are pretty difficult to target, but not impossible, of course. You need a concept, you need like a sales funnel, maybe you've heard about it, where you have a concept of several steps. Like you have the first interaction, the client, the target audience gets something of value. It can be something to download or something, for example, report about the industry or the top 10 skills that your employees need to know, something of value. And then you try to build a rapport, a connection with this type of target audience. That's why oftentimes if you just start doing Google ads or Meta ads or LinkedIn ads, you don't see the results.
So you would suggest to have like white paper?
Yes, for example, a white paper. You have to figure out what is the pain points of your target audience and what you could offer in order to give them some solutions for that. You can also do competitive research, what providers do in America or in England. I did a small research yesterday. There were interesting concepts. But before we dive deeper, what is actually the reason? I mean, I think I know the reason, but just to clarify, why do you want only B2B and not B2C?
We will launch B2C next year and believe we have a very strong segment. Like second segment, we rather believe in B2B for all the trends that I mentioned in the context of new work that we address nicely. For example, there's also that once a user progresses, the user earns points that she can redeem for social purposes, like planting a tree or doing a donation, which matches quite well with nowadays understanding of new work that is more and more purposeful. Employer branding is an important concept for companies. And with the implementation of this app, supporting via learning progress, social purposes, we believe this fits quite nicely in the B2B segment. However, we will try B2C next year.
So I guess the thought behind it to focus now on B2B, because when you get one client, then you have several purchases, like hundreds of purchases, maybe thousands of purchases, so that you can like scale faster.
Correct. One decision maker who needs to be convinced to then who pays then for 100 or more employees for the company, for a part of the company or for the whole company. So they can choose. It can be just for the marketing department. It can also be for the whole company. At the moment, we're operating in Germany, German content only. But once we have English content, then companies like OB or other companies can decide, I implement this on an international level. This could be very big tickets. You need long times to earn this in a B2C.
Yes. On the other hand, the B2C has at least two advantages in this case, I can imagine. First advantage is if you figure out a campaign, it's a little bit easier, of course, to advertise for this kind of product. For example, you could advertise on Meta ads. It costs only €9 or something like that. So it's a purchase people don't need to think a lot about it. And when you figured out a concept where you say, okay, people are staying on average, maybe like 1 year, 2 years, and we are spending maybe like €50 per client acquisition, then you can scale the promotion. And if you're earning much more, so you can just improve, of course, but if it works on a smaller scale, then you can also scale it up. And that's the first advantage, but you have to test, it's not certain. And the second advantage might be because those buyers, those individuals, B2C clients, they might also work on some companies, and maybe they get in touch with the decision makers and they can propose to use it for the whole company. And also, when the decision maker looks at the product and it's widely spread in B2C, then he might be even more motivated, or it's easier decision to make. But I totally understand to go to B2B because that's where the money is. And it feels for me, despite the recession in Germany and in the world, it could be also a good alternative to expensive courses, to expensive development. Because, usually the companies have been such courses, such developments, they are thousands of euros sometimes per day to bring a coach. So it could be maybe even a good sales pitch to say, hey, look, it brings almost the same effect, but it's so much cheaper than what you're used to do.
Correct, because it's digital content versus a coach that trains one-on-one. It's a lot less expensive, though it's still a coach who developed the learning content on our platform.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you don't need to have one-on-one. I saw it in the school system. Every teacher was preparing their slides, preparing everything, but they don't have so much time, not so much proficiency in how to design it. But if one person could create a really amazing presentation, prepare the speech and stuff, or those concepts, then 80% of the learnings you could do this way by consuming the content. And only then you might need a little bit of one-to-one consultation sometimes on top of that. But to get the basics, to get the certain level, you don't need all the time one-on-one.
Right. Agree.
I think.
Yes.
So for B2B clients, a good solution is oftentimes LinkedIn, especially in this case, because on LinkedIn, you can target specific positions. Have you tried Sales Navigator?
Yes.
Yes, you already understand there are so many filter options.
Yes.
And you can target decision makers, you can target positions, special positions, people of a certain level of activity and so on. Of course, important to understand with B2B as more expensive offers that you need to establish a relationship. There are some studies that say those clients that become clients, they have at least 7 interactions with a brand. Can be even more depending on the product. So that means it's not just one and then you offer to buy the product, but you need to start small and then establish a connection. And then after a while, you pitch the sale or you have a sales call with them.
So you would not recommend to reach out and pitch directly our product, but rather have a different intro just to get to know each other?
Yes.
Which may be very time consuming, especially as a CEO.
Yes, you can test, of course, but in general, you have to accept that it will be quite time consuming and some resources are needed to acquire those kind of clients. But there are also ads. So there are several options. So first option, you can connect with those decision makers. and you can propose something of value just to keep in touch, but you don't need to do it yourself. That's the interesting thing. You can also hire someone. For example, I have a virtual assistant who is managing my LinkedIn account, because yes, I cannot just do the routine tasks. I have other things to do. There are also some limits, and it's not the most scalable process, but it's a good process to learn and to see how it goes, which kind of answers people send you back. And of course, the alternative is LinkedIn ads. But LinkedIn ads, they are famous for not being very affordable. That depends always on the perspective on how much money you are earning. If you can target with LinkedIn ads, if you can target decision makers at companies like OB, or like where they are tens of thousands of employees, yeah, it can still be a good return on ad spend, return on investment. So you have to think about like 5,000 euros per month, a marketing budget, ad spend budget for ads. And there you can also target pretty well.
So for this, I tried LinkedIn ads. There are two types of ads, I would say. The one is we promote the app directly. So we speak about this is the best coaching app, whatever, yeah, for employee retention or to develop most important skills on a lasting basis. So we can set this up. It was very costly, but didn't lead to leads, actually. With a smaller budget, I did not invest yet the 5K, but it was quite expensive with no real results. Now I'm actually doing a content paper ad. So we have written a white paper, 21 most relevant skills in today's times is the title of this paper, which is strongly connected with our app. Right? Because if they download, if they're interested in this paper, we can say, okay, if you want to do the next step, if you actually want to develop these skills that you have read in the white paper, then we have an app for you that you can try for free. So this is what we do at this moment, what I believe rather in, because these leads, lead costs are so much less expensive. Of course, we don't know how many convert, but the sales pipeline at least is filling a lot quicker.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was expecting, because direct sales in this category is very difficult. It's a different thing if you targeted end users, because for them, €9, it's not a big investment. So they might convert directly, depending on the ads and stuff. But with B2B, yes, they get so many requests every day. I get many requests from people who want to offer me some services, some like agency services, and it's getting annoying. So yeah, it's first step. It's to have a lead. And then what do you do next? Do you have an email sequence or something, or call?
Yes. So we use HubSpot, where these LinkedIn leads flow directly. So a lead is created in HubSpot, and based on this lead creation, a workflow is automatically created. So we send them 3 emails. The first one is the white paper that they wanted to have based on the ad. And the second one is another white paper for habit. So addressing the topic of habit building. And the third one is then promoting our app. Along all these 3 emails, already in the first one, we mentioned the app. And the second one mentioned as well, despite that we highlight the white papers in there, but we still have call to actions for our app. And we also do manual follow-up. Not sure if we do enough manual follow-up, and most of the time not via telephone. So maybe we can increase this, or would you say we need to increase the manual effort?
Definitely. So I think the next step after the lead magnet, after this white paper, would be to try to get people on the phone. That's where relationship is being built. That's where you build rapport. And that's where you learn so much about their concerns, about what they want, and can react individually. Because you never know, like, what is keeping them from, maybe there are some misconceptions. They think, no, this app is not for me because of certain things. But if you have them on a phone, it's a total different ballgame. And also you understand, okay, maybe it's just timing. Maybe you will, like, you have a call and then they say, yes, I'm really, really interested, but now is not the time. in a couple of months I have my budget, and then we should talk. And then you can schedule another call and keep on the prospect. And also it gives you a feedback. Oh yeah, the campaign is working well because the quality of the leads seems to be appropriate, pretty good.
Yeah. Good. We will do this. So we hired an agency, telephone agency, call center, on a commission basis. So they will nurture our leads from now on to hopefully bring me in some sales calls from these leads, white paper ad leads.
It would be nice if you could test them, if you could call them and see how they react, if you could play, yeah, I'm this and this, because there is a huge quality discrepancy. Like with my previous project with Corona Test, they had call center, they had like 10,000 of orders every day. And yeah, we were testing them on a regular basis, like how they react, are they motivated? And if there is a problem, then we were trying to solve that or to change the agency.
I mean, they should be motivated because they earn only if they bring me in sales calls for the target segment that we have defined. So this is the contract.
Yeah, but you don't know which kind of employees they employ. Maybe the owner is motivated, but he hires cheap employees, and it's all about masses. And for you, you have a very small target audience. Like if you target bigger companies, which we can also discuss, like what is your limitation in terms of number of employees for clients. But yeah, for them, like there are not so many companies with tens of thousands of...
Yeah, so 50 to 1,000 employees is our current target group. OB is an exception. It was, again, due to Carnival that we made this deal, but usually we pitch for companies with lower employee size.
Yeah, that's also a thing that you can test, because it might be that the effort to acquire a bigger company, like with 10,000 employees, might be 50%, for example, let's say, more expensive, more effort. But suddenly you have maybe 50 times, 100 times more revenue because of the employees. But yeah, you have to see how they react, what's their policies. With bigger companies, I think you would target not the HR directly, but the specific learning department.
Yeah.
Learning and development. So maybe the concept of investing into employees is even more popular with bigger companies. Like if they have a special department, it's like a process for them, standard process.
Yeah. The bigger the company is, the more specified the roles are. And then we would target HR learning and development. Sometimes also HR people and culture, because our app is, let's say, loaded with values that companies nowadays try to communicate, like mental health, for example. The purpose, reward that I mentioned matches with the company values. So HR people and culture is also our targeted roles. If the companies have it, the smaller the company, the less they have this kind of role. However, in smaller companies, then at least, let's say, head of HR would consider this cultural aspect, even if you don't have it in your job description or job position definition.
Yes. I think through sales, you can explore a lot when you get this feedback and then you see what are the concerns. Maybe you can systemize the conversations and say, we need a number of concerns that the people were mentioning and which position they were, how big is the company, and maybe in other aspects, how they reacted to the offer, what's their issue they are not signing up. And then maybe there gets a picture. Maybe a certain type of businesses, they are not into that because they are too busy with everyday life. They don't maybe even think much about educating their employees. And others, maybe bigger companies or smaller, you never know, they maybe are more into that. So this call agency, they are just for warming up the contacts, kind of. And then are you going to have a call with the clients, or do you want to delegate everything to the agency?
Currently, I'm delegating it to the agency. If they're successful, we continue. The more successful we are, the more resources we bring in. So I think
Yes.
telephone channel can be done by more people than the agency. But for now, I let them do because I don't have the internal resources on my side. Next weeks are busy, but I know that ideally we increase the efforts on the telephone. So I actually just noted it down during this call that I will go back to telephone, or let's say do it properly in December. I did a few calls, but this was not high number. So from December on, it's also me. To have the ear at the client. I think that there's a strong benefit in it, and not just for sales reasons, but also for product innovation reasons.
Exactly, yes. You can see it not even like a sales call, but networking, just getting to know each other and see how and when it's a good fit.
Yes. So maybe there are different forms of contacting them through a call. So it can be a research call to check their needs, what kind of skills they would love to support.
Yes.
I think this is a good starter.
Yes.
What
absolutely.
are the skills you would like to support? We are interested in the most relevant future skills. And then in the end,
that's great.
Leading them into or sending them the white paper.
I really like that. Yes. It's like you are doing a research. You want, with your startup, you want to help them in general. And here now you are at the level of just doing the research and they can help you. We did something similar with our other client.
Yeah.
Where we were calling before the launch of the toy brand. We were calling the toy stores and just wanted to get their feedback of like what is important, how do they see our product line and so on. And it was so valuable, this advice. Like we learned so much about what is important in this market. Have you considered visiting conventions where your target audience is active?
Yes, we started in September. There was one good convention, HR convention, where we collected like 40 leads. And there is one big one where I hope we convert. The talks were very positive and you feel like, okay, after this conference, we have like 4 deals. Wow. But in the end, it then doesn't work out that positively. It's also what I heard from other founders. Despite the many good talks, it's not like that they convert. They may still purchase next year, summer, for example. So far, there is one very relevant one. It was big size that we hope to convert.
How was your process after the event? I know it from my experience. When I go to events, I have like 50 business cards or 50 LinkedIn connections. And you are motivated in the talk when you talk with them. But after the event, there is so much going on and you forget about it.
Yeah, so we stored the contact information of all the ones that showed interest. Mm-hmm. So we sent emails, we sent another email, and now the agency that I mentioned will call them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, for most, I do not have the telephone number, so the agency will look it up and try to get them on the phone to bring them into a second sales call after the conference. Yeah, I think this is the right procedure after the conference, writing them emails, 1, 2 email, sending them the white paper also. And then the agency tries to get them on the phone to get a sales meeting for me.
In general, it sounds like a decent plan. Of course, you can always improve everything, but with startups, I know how it is. It's better to have something than nothing, and then you can just optimize it. It all depends also on the quality of the agency. If the agency really, really understands your product and really understands how to pitch that, if it's not like a masses, just like a little bit spammy, just calling, and then after a while you get some sales because they don't care about building a brand. Some of them, they are probably also good agencies, but you have to be careful that they are doing their part of the job. But in general, yes, it's a good start. You can also connect with them on LinkedIn.
Yes, I did also that. So I wrote all of them an email, plus I connected via LinkedIn. So now every Thursday I try to do 1 post per week so that the leads I connected with would see me.
Yes, exactly. If you outsourced your LinkedIn, you could also let your assistant be active on their profiles, like commenting. If they post something, then they see something. It's all about also like brand building. They see over and over. And sometimes it's not because of your product. It's just the timing. And if you stay for half a year on their radar, maybe in 1 year will be the perfect timing and they might purchase it. And sometimes it's also about informing them, about clarifying how your app can help them, and maybe also combining with some reviews from other users, like, oh, this app, or for example, especially like if Obi could say something positive, this app increased our retention, people are more happy or something like that. I don't know what you can measure and what not.
Yeah.
Like that could also be very strong argument for them.
Yeah, true. Would it be from a personal account or 21 Done account? Because company accounts do not work that good. In this case, like customer review would make sense also to have it from a company account.
So your company account, usually doesn't have the same reach as your personal profile on LinkedIn. In this case, I think your personal profile would have a bigger impact. If your assistant comments on their posts and sometimes they click on your profile and visit, then LinkedIn will show more content of you to them. But in general, only a small percentage of your connections and followers are seeing your content, your posts. And this percentage is much smaller with your company page. The advantage of company page is that you can create ads, that you can advertise to your followers, for example. So retargeting can work wonders in this category. For example, if you have enough email addresses that you generated, you can use that as a retargeting to send them ads, those people.
Okay. So from our CRM system, the email address of our leads, I could upload this to LinkedIn.
Yes, exactly. And
so this works through email address in the hope that the email addresses I upload are the same that they have put in their profile.
The challenge is you need a certain number of email addresses so that it can work. So
how many do you think?
300 email addresses.
Okay, yeah, unless we have.
That's great. And I'm talking about B2B, of course, so B2B email address, not the end users. Of course, you will not have everyone, but even if you have like 60% have the same email address on LinkedIn, that should also be fine. You could also, there are tools, you can find the perfect potential clients and then get the email addresses and then upload it to LinkedIn if you want to be very sure whom to target. That's very precise, like specific target audience. For example, if you have a presence in Hamburg or if you have an advantage in Hamburg, you could find out all the email addresses from Hamburg, around Hamburg from companies and just target them on LinkedIn, for example.
Yeah, I think the ones that we have in our deal pipeline to retarget those could be a good way.
Yes. And one other small thing is when you have those ads, you can also retarget people who interact with those ads. So if they engage, if they like, if they comment, then you can retarget them because it's a bigger step to give you the email address and get this white paper. But a small step is already like a sign for them to be interested. And if they see it over and over.
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks a lot, Will.
Yeah, it's
some updates I could already note down. Yeah.
Yes, I am happy to see that you were making some notes. That's great. Of course, I gave you some like overview and some ideas. And at the end, you have to prioritize and see step by step how you can implement certain things that I mentioned, and then go from there, from the results, analyzing the results.
Yeah, no, makes sense. No, I will try these, like retargeting for LinkedIn or calling on a wider level, like internal employees doing research calls. Sales calls, maybe we are not professional enough to do sales calls. The agency may be professional enough to do it. But I think, you can call them with a different purpose.
Yes, especially if you call the bigger companies where you can invest so much more time per client because the client will bring you like a couple thousands, maybe euros per month. So you can invest a bit more effort in those clients.
Yes, makes sense. Yeah. SEO, SEA, are also tactics, of course, for all startups, at least options. SEO takes long. You have an opinion on SEO, SEA? Would you recommend to go into this?
Yes, I have an opinion. I don't like SEO. I have been doing SEO since 2008, I think. Yeah, my first website I created in 2008, and I was doing SEO. And it was a lot of fun when Google was young. It was accepting all the websites. But at some point, Google became much more difficult. Especially they prefer big websites like Wikipedia. Nowadays, Reddit, it's crazy going up, but not normal small websites, no matter how good the quality is. So, and especially for startups, and also it's less control for you. If you want B2B, then it's not the best place. Next year, if you expand to B2C, and if you have budget left and resource left, you can adjust a little bit, like blogs, zum Beispiel, a blog can work a little, like acquiring some visitors, some visibility, but usually if you do like that, you can combine it with social media. And in general, like social media has easier reach than on Google. So like Instagram, for example, you can, if you target B2C.
For B2C, yes, I agree. For
Yes,
B2C,
yes.
this is on our agenda. For
Yes.
B2B, no, it's LinkedIn, as you mentioned. And SEA, so you're less skeptical for SEA potentially? Spend some money on keywords?
SEA is huge. It depends on the keywords. For you, there are two types of SEA, search engine advertising. So there is search in Google and there is YouTube. With search, it depends on the keywords. If you find keywords that are clearly used by B2B clients, which is a challenge because oftentimes the same keywords are used by students, by end users. So it will be much easier later on. By the way, yeah, you can target audience, but not very specific, not as specific. Like you can say, okay, I want this keyword, and this person should be in a company that is bigger than 1,000 employees on Google Ads.
Okay.
So there are some like opportunities, but I would position it even probably below YouTube. So LinkedIn is first, in my opinion, for you, for B2B, YouTube, and then Google search, if you find relevant keywords. I am a friend of pay-per-click advertisement for startups because it's fast. You have all the control and you can target precisely. And everything like organic growth on YouTube, on social media and LinkedIn, that's just a side effect. Should be for startups a side effect. With times you will grow automatically, but the focus should be, in my opinion, on advertising. And on YouTube, yes, you can explain really well your product. You can target viewers from a specific channels. If they are big enough, and if you think it could be a channel that HR people are interested in, you could say, okay, I want to show those ads to those kind of people who watched this YouTube channel, or people who searched in the past for certain keywords. For example, you think, okay, which kind of keywords would HR employee search? Or especially those learning and development people who would say, okay, how can I improve the development of my whole team efficiently, for something like that? Then you can also advertise on YouTube. So you can create an audience on
but I need a video for this clearly. And this works through, I manage this through the SEA console, Google Search Console still. It's just uploading also a video. They will then promote it on YouTube.
You do it through ads.google.com.
Yeah.
That's where you can
create. It's a different console. It's not like Google Ads where I do the SEA.
Yeah, no, keyword. That's the same console because
yes.
There is search.google.com, that's for SEO, and ads.google.com is for Google Ads. And through Google Ads, you can target search, you can target display, which is like on all websites, which is doesn't work so well. So I don't recommend that because there's many spammy websites. And you can advertise on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, I will check that.
Another thing is what could work really well. Maybe there are some newsletters or magazines for HR. And if you can book a place in those newsletters or magazines, that could also work. But it's the next step when you already optimized your lead magnet and sales funnel or the process. Because with Google Ads and LinkedIn Ads, you can test much easier. You can change everything. But with such magazines and newsletters, they are oftentimes quite expensive in B2B area, like 5,000 euros or something. But you have really those people who are your target audience at one spot.
Sounds great, Will. Yes. Thanks a lot. Good inspirations that I will jump on.
I'm very glad that you had some inspirations. I hope you can profit from them.
Thanks a lot, Will. Yeah, now with your recommendations, even more luck we will have.